Okay, this lesson's on the distributive property. We can find this lesson on page 375. Okay, so our essential question to this lesson is how can you use numbers and symbols to represent mathematical ideas? So we're thinking of numbers and symbols. Symbols probably we're thinking of variables here. So here we go. Vocabulary, distributive property, and equivalent expressions. Okay, so our distributive property, what we're stating here is the distributive property states that to multiply a sum or a difference by a number, multiply each term inside the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. So we can see here that we're going to take, if we have A times the quantity B plus C, we're going to multiply A to everything in the parentheses. We're distributing it. Just like if I had somebody distribute a piece of paper or a worksheet, everybody would get a worksheet. Same thing here. If we're going to multiply 4 times the quantity 6 plus 2, we'd multiply 4 times 6, 4 times 2. Okay. What are equivalent expressions? Well, in this case, it doesn't matter what the variable is, x. These expressions will have the same value. So, and the reason is because basically what we're doing is we're taking our 2 and multiplying it to everything in the parentheses. So it's to be the same as 2 times x and 2 times 2, which would be 2x and 4. But these are equivalent, or another word for equivalent are equal. So there we go. We have distributive property and we have equivalent expressions. Okay, so let's take a look at distributive property to solve or evaluate 8 times the parentheses or quantity negative 9 plus 4. Okay, so they want you to use the distributive property here. That's the main thing. They want you to do that. So you have your 8, and we have a negative 9 plus 4. Well, what does that mean? That means we're going to take our 8 and we're going to multiply it by a negative 9. And we have our 8 and we're going to multiply it to a 4. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this and make it look like this so that we can see what is happening. And then 8 times 4. Okay, so we have 8 times negative 9. We have 8 times 4. 8 times a negative 9, well, that's going to give me a negative 72. And our 8 times 4 is going to give me a 32. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add those two up, which is going to give me a negative 40. Okay, so we're using the distributive property. Now you might ask, well, can't we just add negative 9 plus 4 then multiply by 8 because we did the parentheses first? And I would say absolutely, but right now we're practicing the distributive property. Okay, so go ahead and do a go formative, and when you're done, come back.